welcome, Kirsty, to the show. I'm so happy to have you here and delve into the topic about preconception health. I know women's health is something that you're very passionate about, and I just can't
Mm.
wait to learn more from you.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, it is. And it's something that, I was not always passionate about, but when I started learning about it as a naturopath, when I was studying, I was like, I feel like no one knows about this. And then when I went through and had my daughter, the same thing. It was like not one doctor mentioned, thinking about certain nutritional requirements or getting your hormones regular. It was just like, oh yeah, you have a baby, and that's it. No more questions. So yeah, I've definitely gone through my own journey and dived into the rabbit hole of research and yeah, come out with a lot of info.
I love it. And I think that that's where our kind of passion stems from, like going through it ourselves. Um,
Definitely. Mm.
so yeah. Oh, awesome. All right. Well, I wanted to start off obviously by talking about preconception health.
Yeah.
Why is it important for us to become aware of it? And what is it? Like, let's
Yeah.
start from the start.
Yeah. So preconception health. So basically, I'm sure we all know that our babies are made up of our DNA. So the mum's DNA, 50% from the egg and 50% from the sperm. So from a biological perspective, it makes sense that the healthier these are, the healthier that baby will grow and continue. So what they're now showing is that the health of the egg and the sperm at conception can actually have impacts into the child's health, not as a baby, but also into adult life. So that's pretty huge. So that's probably the biggest
Mm.
part is, what you do now can actually impact your child's future health. Um, so yeah, huge. So that's
Oh,
preconception health.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and then as well, of
And
course,
why is it
yeah,
important? Yeah.
Yeah, so that's right. So it's important for your child's health. It's also important for having a healthy pregnancy, um, and also for that fertility chance as well. So I see a lot of patients who will come to see me more from a fertility perspective, working on that preconception time. So um, but it's not just about people who have infertility or struggling with fertility. It's about anyone who is looking at having a baby, whether it's even your second or third. Sometimes they're the most important because we want to make sure that they
Yeah.
have the nutritional requirements. They just had a baby, and if it's been quite recent, they might not have enough nutrients to continue through with their second child. So, yeah, it's really important for anyone who's thinking about having a baby. Yeah.
Soon. Yeah. That was me because I had the boys 15 months apart. So
Yeah.
and I had a cesarean too. So I feel like I did want to have them close, but once I got to the end of my second son's pregnancy, like I was just like
Mm, drained. Yeah.
drained physically, mentally. Whereas with my first, I feel like I bounced back so
Mm,
much quicker.
yeah.
Um, but like you said, just that depletion and just like I didn't nourish myself or even think about it. Like you said, like
Yeah.
it's not spoken about. I
No,
was never
it's
told.
really not. No, exactly. And the whole thing as well, it's like, so if you think about what you need from a healthy cell, yeah, first up is nutrition. So if you're nutritionally inadequate in a whole range of things from folate, iron, vitamin D, like the
Mm,
list goes on,
yeah.
then you're going to have issues, obviously with the energy for yourself later, but even from that, nutrients for the egg, for the embryo, for genetic expression, implantation, everything. So it starts off with making
Wow.
sure you have adequate nutrition. And then as well, looking at what's going to impact on that nutrition. So, is there a lot of oxidative stress or is there a lot of inflammation that could cause these deficiencies or just cause that cell to not be as structurally sound as it should be?
Yeah. Wow, that's yeah. I wish I was told all
Mm.
this before
Yeah.
I had Oliver, before I had my second. So,
Yeah.
when do you think is a great time to start thinking about our health before we have kids? Like, do you have an example of a
Mm.
timeline that you can share with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So at a bare minimum, so if you're looking at just from that biological perspective, a bare minimum is 3 months. So the reason it's 3 months is it takes sperm 116 days to mature. So that means we need to work back at least that far. And for women, so our eggs are very susceptible to damage, and it takes 100 days for that to mature. So we want
Mm.
to make sure we're looking, once again, at least 3 months. But ideally, in a perfect world, I want women to start thinking 12 months before, which
Yeah.
I know people are like, what? That's way too far. But there's many good reasons for that. And I think as well, I'd start off with even just saying coming off contraception at 12 months. Um,
Mm.
so I think we've talked about, like, we could have a whole other podcast on contraception, and the pill in
100%.
particular. Yeah. So yeah, just as a starting point, so coming off that, because what the pill does is it actually stops your ovulation and it stops your hormones. So if you, I mean, not a lot of people get pregnant straight away, but it just means that that might take you months for you to regulate your hormones. So I see a lot of women who will have really painful periods or irregular periods, and it can take up to 6 months for them just to get that regular. So, yeah, coming off the pill. The other really scary thing is, which I don't think anyone's told, is the pill depletes certain nutrients. So it depletes folate, it depletes B6, B12, magnesium, and zinc. And one study even says that
Mm.
because of the reduction in blood folate associated with the use of oral contraceptions, it's critical for women who are in childbearing age to actually continue folate supplementation. So, yeah, I remember, like, when I first heard that, I was like, my
Oh,
mind's blown. I don't think any doctors co prescribed folate while giving someone the pill.
no.
Mm.
No. Well, I
So,
wasn't.
yeah,
I wasn't giving,
no,
or even magnesium, like you just said, like magnesium is such an
yeah,
important supplement that like we need to take. We need to obviously, get it through
yeah,
our food and stuff like that, but that's just so important. And when that's even
yeah.
depleted, oh, that's
Exactly. Yeah, it's
crazy.
involved in almost every function in the body, magnesium and
Yep.
zinc. So, yeah,
Mhm.
so 12 months before, start thinking about your periods, start thinking about your stress. So, stress is a huge one that if it is a problem for you, you need to take that time and really look back at what's going on. How can you manage it? Talk to someone, try and figure out what stresses you can stop and reduce. Because, yeah, some of the studies when I looked at into the stress impacts of preconception is that the effects of stress can last for months in women. It can affect the hormones. And they've even found that mothers who were stressed during preconception time, they had increased risk of the child developing eczema. And of course, it can also impact
Oh,
fertility as
wow.
well. Yeah, so crazy.
Mhm.
So it really does make a big difference. The other one as well is gut health. So you need to start thinking about what's going on for your gut health, especially if you have inflamed or IBS or just huge pains of bloating, anything. Just start looking at what is actually going on and addressing it, because especially with gut health, when you're pregnant, it's often too late for you to really start delving into it. So
Yeah.
the
Mhm.
preconception period is that optimal time where you can focus on your health and get yourself into shape before you fall pregnant.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that's 12 months before. Like, really, it's a whole health assessment. You want to check in and say, what is going on for me? Am I stressed? What's my hormones doing? What's my gut health doing? Do I have energy? Am I lethargic? And also looking at things like your toxin load. Are you consuming pesticides? How much alcohol are you having? Caffeine? Are you exposed to paints and fumes? It just goes on and on. But yeah, taking that assessment, that 12-month assessment, to just check in and see what's going on.
And do you find that, like, for my first, like, for either of the boys, I didn't really do any of this stuff. Maybe my second, once
Mm,
I became a little bit more aware in healing the body, healing the gut, that's where I kind of delved into it more. But do you find that women that look after their health and start at that 12-month or even that 6-month
mm,
mark, that they heal, not heal, better than others, but that they're a
yeah.
bit more aware? Is that what you find?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. There's not, unfortunately, with pregnancy and like, there's just no studies. It's
Yeah.
like it's kind of looking at health over a long term, because it's really unethical to do studies of pregnant women and helping ones and not helping others. But I have found, just from talking to clients and friends, the ones who have put in the effort, they tend to have an easier pregnancy, and they bounce
Yeah.
back a lot easier. Obviously, there's
Yeah.
many things that can go
Yeah.
wrong during all that, but yeah, they just tend to have a better
Yeah.
pregnancy.
And also too,
Um,
they
yeah.
probably understand. Oh, I think there's a bit of a lag. I think they, understand too what, their body needs post-pregnancy. Like, I was constantly
Mm,
tired and,
yeah,
like, no energy, and I was just like, "Oh, yeah, it's only because of I've just had a baby," but not thinking about how depleted my body was.
that's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if you had checked in, before, maybe being like, no, 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 my energy actually isn't normally like this. This isn't normal. Then, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we've spoken a lot about women's health,
Mm,
preconception, but I'd love to know, how important is male health in this
mm,
preconception phase?
yeah. Yeah. Um, Actually, as well, I wanted to just touch on a couple of things with the timeline, if that's okay,
Oh,
just so I don't
yes,
miss
of
it.
course.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. Um, Sorry, heaps to talk about, but yes, I will jump into the men as well. Actually, that'll work well in the timeline. So the other thing is, so 6 months, I really recommend women getting blood tests done.
Mhm.
So, and that is because, as I've mentioned, things can take time to build back the stores. So, iron in particular, if you find out you have low iron, and often pregnant women don't find out until sometimes their third trimester, which is way too late, and then they'll need a transfusion. So, what you need to do is get that checked 6 months and start working on it then. So, iron is probably the most common one, but vitamin D is really important as well. Looking at your thyroid hormones and blood glucose. So, yeah, getting blood tests done at 6 months. And for women, that's when I start saying, let's start taking the supplements now. We're getting all your nutrition requirements up. Yeah, looking at maybe a bit of gentle liver support as well, and taking, yeah, certain supplements that are specific for egg health. And then this is when you start getting your partner involved as well. So, looking at your diet and lifestyle. So, as a team, you need to start looking at reducing alcohol. So, limiting yourself to ideally 1 to 2 glasses of red wine a week, cutting back coffee, looking at diets rich in antioxidants, focusing on organic where possible. And a really important one, because this links specifically into men's health, is avoiding certain chemicals called endocrine disrupting chemicals. So you tend to find these in your
Mm.
plastics, your pesticides, but some scary facts are coming out in terms of men's sperm count and their exposure to these chemicals. So I was reading this recent research that was saying that on average, men are losing about 1.1 to 1.2% of their sperm count per year, which is really scary, because I think there's a certain amount of sperm that men need for conception to occur. So we're getting to the
Mm.
point where it is at the
Yeah.
lower end, and they are linking it back to their
Wow.
exposure to these chemicals. Yeah. So it's really important for men to get involved in that process as well of really eating organic, not heating up food in plastic, which some people still do, looking
Yeah.
at personal
Yeah.
skincare products and avoiding all those, yeah, chemicals that just make no sense. They're all numbers. Just focusing on natural, whole
Yep.
foods. Yeah, all those things.
Yep.
Yes. So yeah, and then so
Wow.
it's at 3 months that is the most critical, as I said,
Yep.
and that's when the men need to start getting into supplements as well because they share 50% of that DNA. So if the sperm isn't up to scratch, then you're going to have issues with fertility. You're going to have
Yeah.
long-term effects with the health of
Wow.
the baby as well. So yeah, I think men have taken a bit of a back seat, especially with fertility. I think women tend to feel like it's all of them that wears that responsibility, but no, they do. They count for a lot. So yeah, like I said, making sure they're having as much natural, certain things like zinc is really important, CoQ10, B vitamins, and yeah, just looking at stress management as well is, yeah, also important.
That's crazy. Like you just said, like, I was only ever worried about my health.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Did not even think about my husband's, but now you said it's 50%.
I know.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's nuts.
it
That's
is.
crazy.
I remember when I got my husband involved on our little preconception, and all his friends were just like, "What are you doing? Like, you're only having alcohol once a week." And I hear him like parrot what I would say, and he says, "Look, it's only 3 to 6 months of my life, and if that can make an impact to my baby's
Yeah,
health, then like why not? Why not give it a go? That's the one thing that
100%. Yeah.
you got motivation for." So, mm,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's awesome. And then that's great that you got hubby involved too. I don't
Yeah.
think that would work with mine. He doesn't even do it now. But, no, that's great. But thanks for the timeline. I feel like that's
Mm.
just given everyone just, a broad understanding of just when to get started and how important it is to get started. I didn't even know half the stuff that you mentioned.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Exactly. So yeah, just take a look at that. And as always, if you ever need that more one-on-one care, so say you're looking at the timeline and you're thinking, okay, my gosh, like I don't even know where to start with my gut, like this has been
Yeah,
chronic, then that's when you start getting involved with a practitioner and working on that one-on-one time as well.
yeah. It's so important. So
Mm.
important. Don't use Google. Use a
Yeah.
professional, please.
Exactly. Yes.
So, is there anything that you would love to add or share that you may have missed out on?
Um, I don't think so, but yeah, I think, if someone was thinking about, okay, I want to have a child, where do I start? I think the number one thing is just tune into yourself,
Yep.
listen to what's going on with your health. And, I really recommend writing down symptoms because, like you said, if it just becomes like chronic or every day your energy is 4 out of 10, you think, oh, it's just my normal. But actually, if you look back and you're like, God, like my energy is getting lower, or yeah, wow, I get
Yeah.
bloating twice a day, or, all those little things you just forget about. Start writing it down and, yeah, take a look 2 weeks back and see what actually is flaring up for you. Mm.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for
Yeah.
sharing all of this information with us.
No
I've just
worries.
learned so much about preconception health. Don't plan on having any more kids, but I'm just happy to
Yeah.
share this with everyone else.
Well, you know what?
Um,
Preconception health, I was thinking about this when I was like just thinking about what we're talking about. It's just being your healthiest self. Like
yeah,
really, when you're thinking about that, it's just you're getting your body primed to have a baby. So, I think anything that I've talked about, you could put this in to your life as a whole
100%.
because yeah, it's just you thinking about your health and getting yourself on track. It's just the motivation is the baby, but yeah, you don't always need
Yeah.
that.
Well, make sure you download the cheat sheet, guys. Kirsty's just gone above and beyond with it. She's given so much information, so much value. But I'd love to end the show with a question.
Mm,
So, if someone is thinking about having kids in the near future, what is something that they can do today or start today just to start that
mm,
process of
mm.
thinking about preconception?
Yeah, so definitely that tuning in. But I think getting like focusing on your diet would be
Hmm.
the number one. That's probably the easiest thing. Like I know it can feel overwhelming, but just focusing on a whole food diet, minimizing as much that packaging processed foods, and getting onto probably a good multivitamin. Just to get that started. I always think of supplements as like what do you call it? Health insurance. It's like just making sure that you have all the nutrients you need. Because yeah, that's your one insurance, and that's really simple to do. Just one a day, and then focusing on your diet.
Yeah, just get back to basics, really.
Yeah,
Start thinking
exactly.
about your health.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kirsty, for being here today. I I wanted to acknowledge you for all the value that you share on your socials, on your website, even just the cheat sheet that you've provided to the audience. It's just so much value, so much information, and I'm sure it's really going to help so many women who are
Yes.
thinking
Thank you.
about preconception. So make sure
Yeah.
you check out Kirsty on social media. She posts amazing, amazing things that, yeah, just education resources for you to tune into. So please share with everyone where they can find you.
Yes. So I have my Instagram, so naturally interested, and then my website is naturalyinterested.com.au. And also as well, I forgot to mention that I have a course. It is called Preconception Care Naturopaths Guide. So you can find that through my website. So that gives way more detail. So if this is like just scratch the surface and you want to know more, I really delve into hormones and stress and diet, and each of the
Yeah.
nutritional requirements. So yeah, you can get that through my website. So yeah, you could probably find me that way. And any questions, just contact me through the website or Instagram. Always happy to help.
Well, all this information that Kirsty just mentioned will be in the show notes as well. The link to the guide as well too. So, and don't forget to download your cheat sheet, guys. Seriously, you're going to want to read this. Even like Kirsty said, just for general health and well-being. I know I
Mm.
learned so much when I was reading through it.
Good.
So thank you so much for being here. And I'm really looking forward to having you on again and delving into another topic.
Yeah. Awesome. Yes. Thanks, Carmel. I've really enjoyed chatting. And yeah, I'd love to talk more about female hormones or anything. Yeah. Hit
Oh,
me up.
100%. Yep. Definitely going to do that soon.